You see him on the news.
CNN.com contributor, Dean Obeidallah. So, Dean...
Watch him at comedy clubs.
When I say Mecca, do you think of a holy place or an urban clothing line?
Read his articles. And you hear him on the radio. The Dean Obeidallah Show is on live right here on SiriusXM Progress, Channel 127.
And welcome to the show, brothers and sisters of the resistance. Monday, January 28th, I'm Dean Obeidallah. We're live for the next 3 hours. And as always, I am needy and hoping to be your MBFF. I'm on Twitter at Dean Obeidallah. You can watch the monologue, Facebook.com/Dean of Radio. Or, of course, I greatly hope you will. And I'm always happy to hear from people. Drop me an email, dean@deanofradio.com. A lot going on. I'll tell you, 2020 is here. The Democrats are ready. The Democrats are coming. Forget Robert Mueller, although we have an update on Mueller. But first, let's begin with a little humor. Here's the cold open. Saturday night, we'll play about a minute of it. This is one of the cast members, Alex Moffat, playing Tucker Carlson. And then another cast member playing Jeannie Pirro. Here's clip number one.
Our top story tonight, President Trump's heroic end to the shutdown. It did take him 35 days, but he was finally able to get no wall. Meanwhile, as the Democrats stall, the crisis at our border rages on. Here with her take is the host of Justice with Judge Jeanine Pirro. Jeanine, how are you?
A lot.
Now, Jeanine, I'm going to smugly ask a question that I already know the answer to, and a warning to our viewers, my voice will get very high. These Democrats, do they want MS-13 invading their towns and tying up their hands and feet with duct tape?
Sadly, the answer to that question is si, senor. At this point, MS-13 is getting so brazen, they're promoting their own holiday in America. It's called Sicario Day of the Soldado.
Wow. So what is the president's next step, Jeanine? And to show I'm really paying attention to you, I'm going to put on my listening face. I call it dog looking into mirror.
Well, Tucker, we have to take a Marie Kondo approach to cleaning up this country. If something doesn't spark joy, throw it out. And you know what doesn't spark joy in me? Guatemala.
So, some funny stuff there, and making a great point that on the right, many people tried to spin Trump victory. Now, here's some little breaking news. We just found out before the show that the State of the Union has been rescheduled by agreement. Nancy Pelosi and Trump have agreed to next Tuesday night, February 5th. So if you enjoy being lied to and watching race baiting, make sure you set your VCR, your DVR for Tuesday, February 5th, and check out Trump as he lies to America. And I don't even think the network should cover the speech, but that's not my call. Second little breaking news. It first looked like bigger breaking news, but it's lesser, but it might be important. Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker, who, if you watch the video, we should call sweating Attorney General, because I think he just came from the gym, did a press conference in between doing his lat exercises or bicep curls, said that the Mueller investigation is coming to an end. But when you watch the video, he goes, I think it's coming to an end. And I've been fully briefed on it. If Whitaker, who's Trump's appointee, has been fully briefed, that means Trump has been fully briefed. So let's watch Trump, sort of like in Hamlet, the play, inside the play, within the play with Mousetrap. And Hamlet has a little play that mimics the way his own father was killed. And he watched for the reaction of the king. Let's watch how Trump reacts the next day or two, because I have no doubt Whitaker told him everything. And maybe, you know what? He's going to tell him. And the truth is, Mueller has no smoking gun tying Donald Trump to Russian conspiracy. We don't know. I'm waiting for the report. All of us are waiting for the report. We'll see what it says. They might not have found a direct link between Trump and Russia and that conspiracy. They might find things like obstruction of justice, maybe the idea of the federal election fraud. But as long as they don't find Russia and Trump, his base will go like, you found nothing. It doesn't matter. It said Russia. So they're going to change the goalpost. That's life. So over the weekend, a few things happened involving Democratic candidates and one independent candidate. First and foremost, I think the biggest story was Kamala Harris and her announcement. And I think it'll be remarkable if Kamala Harris becomes the nominee. Think about it. A former prosecutor taking on Donald Trump, a criminal. That's a pretty good contrast. But it clearly, I am not, and I've said this from the beginning, I'm not kidding, I am not taking sides at all in the primary. We're trying to get all the candidates on. I want all progressives to feel comfortable here to exchange your ideas, the candidates you like and don't like. And we're not going to spend daily conversations on the candidates. But once a week, we'll try to spend some time. And I'm going to do that a little bit this first hour. And I'd love to hear from you about what you've seen of the candidates, who you like, what you don't like. Let's keep it civil. Let's remember we're all progressives. We need to unify at the end to win this election, because we have one common goal, and that is defeating Donald Trump on November 3rd, 2020. Let's not forget that. But here's Kamala Harris kicking off her big event yesterday. Here's clip 2.
I stand before you today clear-eyed about the fight ahead and what has to be done. With faith in God, with fidelity to country, and with the fighting spirit I got from my mother. What you gotta say? I stand before you today to announce my candidacy.
Great response. And I'll give a little bio of her, because as opposed to people like Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, we all know them. I don't think, Senator Harris is as well known. I think we know her in our circles, but I mean her own personal story, just to share at the top, is that she's 54. She was born in Oakland, California. Both her parents were immigrants. Her dad was a Jamaican immigrant, and he taught at Stanford University. Her mother was an Indian immigrant. Who was the daughter of an Indian diplomat who was also a cancer researcher. So she's South Asian as well, which is interesting. She's Indian, and that I didn't know. She worked as deputy district attorney in California from 1990 to 1998, earned a reputation as a tough prosecutor, worked her way up, then ran for district attorney. She won in 2003. She won re-election in 2007. To district attorney. 2010, she runs for California Attorney General, statewide office. She wins. Close election, she wins, makes history. The first female and the first African-American to ever hold that post. Re-elected in 2014 and then elected to the U.S. Senate in 2016, making her only the second African-American woman in the history of our country to serve in the United States Senate. Here's another little clip from her speech, which I liked. It was kind of a personal moment where she talked about, I'm not perfect. And I think sometimes you've got to say that, because even President Obama last year, when he was imploring Democrats to vote, said, don't wait for a savior, and saying the idea no one's going to be perfect. And I liked it because she kind of hit on that. Here's clip 3.
And as we embark on this campaign, I will tell you this. I am not perfect. Lord knows I am not perfect. But I will always speak with decency and moral clarity and treat all people with dignity and respect.
And that's a stark contrast to Donald Trump, who treats no one with dignity nor with respect, even those people who are his allies. But if you turn on him and you don't give him 100% loyalty at all times, he lashes out. We see it now with Ann Coulter. It's kind of interesting. He's done that before. And here's one more clip from her speech where Senator Harris talks about the American dream. And America itself is under attack by Donald Trump. Let's hear clip number 4.
We are here because the American dream and our American democracy are under attack and on the line like never before. When white supremacists march and murder in Charlottesville or massacre innocent worshipers in a Pittsburgh synagogue, that's not our America. When we have children, and that's not our America.
So she had over 20,000 people there, were the estimate. Great turnout. A lot of people compared her to Barack Obama. I can see the comparison in a way. I mean, but she actually has a little bit more energy. You know, no drama. Obama was more professorial. I think Senator Harris is a little bit more emotive, has a little bit more emotion, which is actually a good thing in the long run. She also touched on other issues. She called Trump's wall a medieval vanity project. She talks about the big banks and saying that the arrogance of power, wealthy bankers accusing innocent homeowners of fault, as if Wall Street's mess was of the people's making. She talked about mass incarceration. She pledged to fight for Medicare for all. It was a very impressive kickoff. Then we had last night on 60 Minutes, I'm not going to play any clips of him, but Howard Schultz from Starbucks fame, who's been a lifelong Democrat, at least he says he is, and now saying that he might run as an independent in the 2020 election because both parties are bad, that kind of BS. And the media is going crazy today. The idea of, oh my God, Howard Schultz, will he run? How do we stop him? He'll destroy the Democratic Party. And then there are a lot of Democrats who are concerned, and I get it. And I see, I'm not really sure, honestly, we'll never know until what happens. So perhaps it would be really swinging the balance in a few key states. Don't forget, Donald Trump won with 77,000 votes in aggregate in 3 key states, and that's how he won Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. So it doesn't take much. But we can't prevent someone from running, and people are going to appeal to Howard Schultz, but he is a billionaire because he took all our money at Starbucks, and he might self-fund. The third thing that happened was with Bernie Sanders. And this was interesting. There was a report on Friday night that he was imminently about to run for president. Imminent was the term they used. And Saturday morning, Twitter exploded. Bernie 22 and then hashtag never Bernie. And I went through them and I was looking at them and I was amazed at some of the never Bernie comments. And even in Bernie 2020, many were not positive. Many were positive, don't get me wrong. I was not amazed that people oppose Bernie Sanders. There's going to be a lot of candidates. Progressives have different points of view. I get it. What I was amazed by was the anger that I saw expressed by not Russian bots, not fake accounts, but progressives I know who I've been interacting with for years, who have thousands of followers, who are legitimate people. Some actually had worked at Help Bernie in 2016. And I was kind of intrigued by this. I tweeted about it. I wrote an article for CNN that just came out about it a short time ago. It's not really my opinion on Bernie. I supported Bernie in 2016 primary. I liked him very much. When he didn't win the nomination, though I'm a Democrat, I became a surrogate for Hillary Clinton, speaking to the Muslim and Arab American community on her behalf. I went to several states and did that. I'm not sure if it made a difference or not, but I tried my best, all I could, to help Hillary Clinton become the next president. And so that's where I come from. So the article I wrote, as I put that in the article, I'm not trying to be anti-Bernie. What is clear to me, though, when Bernie entered in 2016, the race, the climate was far different than it is right now. And there's one objective indicator. There was a Gallup poll I found from May 2015 when he announced his candidacy. He had a 12% unfavorable view of all Americans. Only 12% had a negative view. A lot of that because people didn't know Bernie much. Then they got to know him. So only 12%. Flash forward at the end of 2018, he now has nearly a 40% unfavorable view, which is still above water. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's not a horrible number, but it's just much higher. And things are changing. And then I looked at the level of anger, and I interacted with some people on Twitter about their anger towards Bernie Sanders. And I sort of put it into like a few themes. And I'm sharing this because if you're a Bernie supporter, you're not. As progressives, I think I like to hear from the progressive base. That's why I like speaking to you nightly. And I look at the people on Twitter. And if they had 20 or 50 Twitter followers, I assume they were a bot. Or if you don't go on Twitter, that means they're a fake account. I could care less. But the ones who had a lot, who I've engaged with before, who have been active in the progressive movement on Twitter, some were expressing a lot of, from anger towards Bernie to, I think we need someone different. The anger, though, was what caught my eye. And the anger was a lot about that he ran as a Democrat in 2016, even though he wasn't a Democrat, but he ran as a Democrat. Then after the election was over, he went back to being an independent. In fact, when he ran for re-election in Vermont, he rebuffed the offer of Democratic Party leaders to run formally as a Democrat. He didn't want to, and people were upset with that. And I understand that because if he runs now in 2020 as a Democrat, instead of spending the last few years building up the Democratic Party, there was some valid points there. The other thing I saw a lot were people who were upset with the Bernie bros. And the Bernie bros, you probably know. If you don't, they were simply, at least on paper, Bernie supporters on Twitter and on social media who were going after Hillary Clinton supporters with some vile garbage. And Bernie did denounce them, but in their view, he did woefully too little to stop them. And it's all perception. I get it. I'm just sharing what I saw. These are sort of the buckets of people's response who were negative. Another one I saw, and this was from friends who actually had supported Bernie, who said they liked Bernie in 2016 but they wanted someone different for one of two reasons. One was that they are fearful that Bernie is now viewed as polarizing within the Democratic progressive movement, and that if he became the nominee, we would lose some Hillary supporters who would not come out. We need to be united to beat Donald Trump. That was a very common thing. It was from no place of animus. Others, though, who liked Bernie in 2016 said, I just want someone different, pointing at the fact that others are now embracing what Bernie was the one that was on the vanguard on. Medicare for all was all Bernie. You know, championing $15 minimum wage was such a big issue of Bernie. It's become now a staple of the Democratic Party. So they wanted a newer face, a younger face. Many said younger, and I felt bad because it truly is ageism, but they were just expressing their views. That's what I saw. Those were the main things. But to me, people saying, I want someone different, I got that. The anger towards Bernie on Twitter among progressives I know who are real progressives caught me off guard. I didn't expect that. I didn't see it. I was oblivious. It was an education for me. I just didn't know it. And Bernie Sanders, the latest poll in Iowa, he's running second to Joe Biden. He could win the Democratic nomination. I'm not saying he won't win. He may win. And I have no idea who I will support ultimately. But it's going to be a far different landscape. He's coming in with baggage this time. And I think you're going to see that anger that I saw online in the real world more and more so. So, look, I'd love to hear from you. We can have this hour about 2020. We'll probably do this once a week. I don't want the show to be horse races and I like this person, I don't like that person. But what do you make of, did you watch Senator Harris's kickoff? Did you watch clips? What was your reaction to that? What's your reaction to Bernie Sanders and what I saw on social media, even if you're not on Twitter? I wrote an article for CNN. You can read it. It's up now. It's on Dean Obeidallah or Facebook.com/Dean of Radio, summarizing people's responses. They're not my responses whatsoever. It was more like almost reporting, but I was surprised by it. Howard Schultz, what is your reaction to that? Are you really concerned? Is it overblown by the media? Is it just a media narrative where they love to go like, oh my God, the Democrats are going to lose if Howard runs? There could be countless independents running. Bernie could run as an independent. We don't know. That would be really devastating for the Democratic candidate if Bernie runs as an independent. Howard Schultz, I'm not sure how much it really plays a role or not. We can't quantify it. So I'd love to hear from you, 866-997-4748. Let's take a break, come back. You're my guest right to the top of the hour. We got a lot of guests for the rest of the show. So let's talk now. What's your views of what the candidates you've seen so far? Who out there has not run? Do you want to run? Is there anyone that you think is not going to help us? And what's your view on Bernie? Has he gone bust in 2020? Or are you still on board with Bernie, or at least having an open mind to him? 866-997-4748.
You're listening to the Dean Obeidallah Show, where we crush Trump's lies every single day.
On Sirius